Hey, what's up? Welcome to another edition of Morning Scone presented by Boudreaux's Mix. Y'all check it out. They got the Bloody Mary mix and the Margarita mix. If you've been watching the show, you know I opened my Margarita mix because, well, I like to have margarita. So I went to Alexander's last night, picked up a new bottle so I could have the display, the unopened display for you there. So check it out, boudreauxsmix.com, or you can go all over the Baton Rouge area, Calvin's, Calandro's, wonderful places where you can go pick up Boudreaux's and let them know that, of course, that you heard about it here on Morning Scone, and we appreciate that greatly. So, let's see. Huge day for LSU baseball with the draft yesterday. I'm trying not to get like overly super duper excited about what happened yesterday, but what happened yesterday was just massively important. LSU baseball was, I don't want to say void of talent, but man, it was clear that they lost a ton from the team that went to the College World Series final a couple of years ago. Obviously they did. When you lose Kramer and Cole and Dykeman and Papirski, and then you lose Lang and Poche, and then Walker gets hurt, and you lost a ton. You just obviously lost a ton. And they needed sort of this injection of talent into the program, and man, are they going to get it. Yesterday was critically important. So if just to catch up to speed for those that maybe didn't see what unfolded, we talked about yesterday. 2 days ago, Bryce Terang was taken 21st overall. There was talk about him potentially being the number one pick in the draft a while back. Didn't have a great spring, so Bryce Terang ends up falling a bit in the draft, and there was a thought that he had this massive number, and if teams wouldn't agree to his number, that he'd end up at LSU. And Paul Maneri called him the next Alex Bregman, should he have shown up, and that would have been just a massive get. Well, Terang was taken 21st overall, so clearly he's going to sign and he'll never be at LSU. So you went into yesterday thinking, okay, rounds 3 through 10, and just for a little background, if teams select you in the top 10 rounds, they don't sign you, they can't use that pool of money for future picks or for picks outside of round 10. So it's not like, say, well, we didn't sign our 8th round pick, let's take that slot value and use it for our 15th round pick. You have to use that pool of money for the top 10 rounds, and if you don't, you lose it. So typically when guys are selected in the top 10 rounds, it's because the team called them and said, hey, will you take 180? And if they say yes, then they make the pick, and if they don't, they call the next guy. I mean, it's so much of that, hay is in the barn when the pick is made. So you can look at guys taking the top 10 rounds and generally understand that they're going to sign. So you're kind of holding your breath yesterday, wondering about Zach Watson, Big Block, Zach Hess, and Antoine Duplantis. Those were the three sort of big risks for LSU, losing those guys. And it was sort of a foregone conclusion, hi, baby, that LSU was going to lose. You want a dat? Go. It was sort of a foregone conclusion that you were going to lose Watson and Hess. And then Nick Bush is a 92 from the left side. I think people recognize that when you're 92 from the left side, he's a third-year player. He had Tommy John. He was probably going to sign. Cam Sanders went undrafted over the first 10 rounds, but I think most people understand that he's going to sign as well. I talked to his dad, Scott, a couple of days ago and said as much. So, I think you look at it and you go, okay, well, there's some of those things you knew, but you were holding your breath on guys like Watson and Hess and Duplantis to see where they were going to go. And as you move into round 3 and then into round 4 and then round 5, and their names aren't off the board, like you understand the slot values start coming down. And what's happened is because those guys are top 100 or 150 prospects, they absolutely would have come off the board. It's different than like in the NFL where you say, okay, well, this guy's not been picked. What's going on? Like, why is he slipping? Is there something wrong with his medical? Does he have character issues? Whatever the case may be, and that happens sometimes in the NFL draft. But when you're talking about the baseball draft, by the way, thank you for the thumbs up, whoever just hit that. All those thumbs up and hearts are great. So if you don't mind hitting the little thumbs up and hearts, that's great for us. So if you see guys slipping in the major league draft, basically what's happened there is they have a number, like a signing number, and they're sticking to it, and teams are calling, and it's like, okay, are you going to or will you take X? And so, like, let's say hypothetically, if they call Zach Watson, he says, I want $2 million, and team's like, will you take 1.2? And if he says no, okay, on to the next guy. So when Watson and Hess start dropping and they're not being picked, it's not because they're not good players, they had bad seasons, it's because nobody's giving them their number. They're staying to their number, and nobody's giving it to them. So when that happens and they're not being picked, you understand, like, they're coming back. Like, it is possible that, and thank you for all the little thumbs up, that's great, and the hearts. It is possible that a prospect or a player gets taken in round 30 and a team doesn't sign a handful of their picks in rounds 11 through 29, and they can use that money to make a bigger offer to a kid in round 30. That happened to an LSU signee a couple of years ago. He was taken around 30 and he got $400,000 to sign. So that can happen. It's rare, but it can. So really, Paul Mainieri came into this draft sweating out, his roster and who was going to show up and who was he going to lose. And now, like, truthfully, hey baby, the biggest issue Paul Mainieri is going to have I'm serious about this, is roster spots, is numbers. Because they have 18 commitments in this class. Now, Bryce Terang isn't going to show up. And then also Levi Kelly, the pitcher out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, 6'3", 205, he was taken in round 8. So those two guys aren't showing up. They got their number. They're going to sign. The rest of them, though, like, unless if you have an overpay in the late rounds, which, like we said again, is rare, like, all these guys are in. They're not going to sign. So Paul Mainieri is going to have to, like, the biggest challenge he's going to have is massaging these numbers now in this offseason. So, like, let me just walk you kind of through this. If we all just let's assume that, okay, we know Coombs, Bain, Bo Jordan, seniors, that's 3 spots. Nick Bush is going to sign, that's 4. I still believe Cam Sanders is going to sign wherever he's taken. So that's 5 spots, okay? Bryce Terang, Levi Kelly, that's 7 spots that you think are gone. I'm assuming at this point that Watson, Hess, and Duplantis are all coming back. Okay, and that's 3 spots that you were not counting on having. Or 3 guys that you weren't counting on having on your roster that I'm absolutely assuming are back now. So if my math is right with those guys, you're 9 over your number. By the way, Landon Marceau, this is how the day went. So Landon Marceau is a top tier prospect, pitched at Destrehan, 89, 90 with the fastball, but he's got 3 pitches, he's got a change, he's got a breaking ball, got a curve, good pitcher, and I think I compared him yesterday to Jared Poche, but kind of from the right side. And command, Poche stepped right into the rotation as a freshman. Like, Marceau could be that. Marceau announced he's coming to LSU. He hasn't been picked. His dad posted on Facebook that teams had offered him 1.2, $1.5 million. Team came back the second day and offered $1.3 million, and he was like, no. He stuck to it. He said that's for what he believed his price was, and weighing the experience of playing at LSU, it wasn't worth it. He wasn't coming off his number. So if his number was $2 million and a team offered $1.5 million, $1.2 million, he wasn't coming off of it. So Landon Marceau's coming to LSU. Like, that's the kind of day, like, guys passed on him. Like, this guy passed on $1.5 million to come to LSU. Like, that's not many 18-year-olds are passing on 7 figures to come play college baseball. Just not many are. And LSU's got a bunch of them now that will. Hey, baby, what's the matter? You want to sit on my lap and say hi to the people? No? What do you want, baby? Big Block? Okay, I'll come in there in a minute. We'll see Big Block. You watching Daddy? Okay. He stomps around the house. So anyway, okay, so Landon Marceau. All right, I'm going to get some of you. By the way, if you're new to Morning Scone, and I'm seeing your comments, keep dropping comments in. I'll get through. I see, like, Adam Kennedy just asked about Kyler Murray. What's up, Brandon Durr? What's up, Ben Giat? What's up, Greg Brooks? Eric Collins. What's up, y'all? Chad Yamarino, Stephen Bro, Mark Verbois. What's up, Mandy? Guy Blanchard. Good to see all y'all here this morning. I like to give y'all shout-outs when y'all come on. So anyway, point is, Paul Mainieri has like this. The challenge now really is his numbers. So if my math is correct, and you're going to lose the 3 seniors, I think you're going to lose Bush. Bush told Jacques Doucet of WAFB yesterday that he's signing. I think you're going to lose Cam Sanders. You're going to lose Bryce Terang. You're going to lose Levi Kelly. That's 7. If my math is right, Paul Mainieri, they're going to be 9 over the roster limit. Like, that means they're going to have to find a way. They're going to have to find a way to move 9 guys off the roster. Either current guys on the roster that they say, hey, maybe you should transfer. Some of these signees that maybe they say, hey, why don't you go to junior college? Or maybe some guys they encourage to sign. That's the paradigm shift that's happened within this baseball program in 2 days. They went from getting shellacked in Corvallis because they were just outclassed by a much better team to like literally having too many players. And it's not just like guys are coming back. You're talking about dudes. You're talking about Zach Watson, who will be going into his 3rd year. You're talking about Antoine Duplantis, who may end up as LSU's all-time career hits leader next year, provided he doesn't sign in some weird thing that could happen. You're talking about Zach Hess, who maybe now goes back into the bullpen. And someone just asked that about Hess when you go to the bullpen. So we'll get some of these questions in here in just a second. But my point is, like, the whole dynamic of LSU baseball over the last 48 hours has changed. Now, it's not completely over. You've got rounds 11 through 40 today. So let's see how this goes, where guys come off the board, because all these guys are going to get picked. So it's just a matter of where they come off the board and what can get done in the next month as far as negotiating a deal. And like you said, sometimes weird things happen, but the overpays typically happen, like the big money overpays happen early in the draft. I think we might have given this example yesterday, but last year it was Blaine Enlow from Sanoma. Blaine Enlow didn't get picked the first 2 rounds, obviously had a big number, and then that night, obviously before round 3 started, teams called him. He was lit. So the Twins called him. They had the first pick of round 3 and said, would you take? And they ended up giving him $2 million. First pick of round 3 got $2 million. So clearly, like, those deals can happen. And maybe some of them happened overnight and to start the day today. And we'll find that out very early in the day today. But as of right now, man, like, Paul Mainieri's got to be just ecstatic. Like, somebody go check his pulse. He's got to be ecstatic with the way that this has played out for him. So a great 48 hours for LSU baseball. All right, let me get to some of your comments here. And someone asked, let me see, I want to go find that one. Whoa, hey now, hang on, sorry. I'm scrolling through comments here because long story short is I have my phone flipped backwards so I'm looking at the back of my phone because if you reverse the camera, then you'll see everything on here backwards. So I'm looking at the back of my phone and I have my laptop open here with the Facebook Live so I can see your comments scrolling. So let's see. Timmy Calais said you do this often. Timmy, I do it every morning. And what I've been for, this is episode 71, weekends, holidays, every single day. So I've done this for 71 consecutive days. I haven't been doing Facebook Live. I've been doing it on YouTube and then sharing the YouTube link here on Facebook and on Twitter. Long story short, this has just been a little less cumbersome. So I'm doing a Facebook Live, and then I'll upload it to all those other places there. So Gregory Brooks, great update. Thank you. All right, Nick Milner says, does Hess move back to the bullpen if there are bona fide starters available? So maybe that's a conversation that I'll answer 2 ways. One, I'd absolutely move Hess to the bullpen because I think having Todd Peterson and Zach Hess in the 8th and the 9th is delightful. To have those 2 guys, you shorten games. You get through 7 with a lead, it's lights out. I mean, that's essentially what the Yankees had with Mariano Rivera, John Wetland, or recently when you had Dellin Betances, Andrew Miller, and Aroldis Chapman. I mean, it was like if the Yankees got through 6 innings with a lead, the game was over. So, I mean, you have both those guys in the back of your bullpen, 100%. Now, most pitchers don't want to be relievers. Most guys like that want to be starters, and they want to take their chance to be a starter. You had this with Alex Lang. I mean, most scouts project Lang to be a really good back end of the bullpen guy, but Lang wants to be a starter. So the Cubs drafted him in round 1. He's starting now in the minors, and they're going to give him a chance to start, but we'll see if that sticks. But Nick, so to answer your question, I absolutely would put him back in the bullpen, but I think they're probably going to give him a chance to see if he can keep that spot in the rotation. And if he does, then you're getting Walker back. You're talking about Walker, Hess, Hilliard, and A.J. Labus, and healthy Nick Storrs. Now you add guys like Landon Marceau, and, I mean, you look at the other signees, like Cole Henry is a 6'4", 185-pound, long guy out of Alabama who could be a bona fide starter as well. I mean, you've got like serious options now, like legit serious dudes options. Amazing. All right, let's see. Stephen Miller, Beck Peterson, Beck too. Yeah, I forgot about Beck in the back of the bullpen. It's amazing. I think Hess goes back to the bullpen. A lot of y'all are talking about Hess going back to the bullpen, and like I'd absolutely do it. I don't think Hess wants to go back to the bullpen. I think he wants to be. He came here trying to prove he could be a starter. If you remember 2 years ago, before he became Wild Thing closer, he and Eric Walker were rotating early in the season for that number because he would win the number 3 job. Like one would start Sunday, one would start in the midweek, and ultimately Walker was just more consistent, and so Hess went to the bullpen. He was great in that role, but Hess wants to be a starter. So let's see, get through some of these comments. My Aunt Nancy's watching. What's up, Nan? Greg Brooks, how many of the LSU prospects do you think will pass on the draft? Talked about that a little bit ago. The 2 that were taken obviously are going to sign, and Paul Maneri at this point has to just kind of hold his breath and see what happens today, because typically you may have deals that were done overnight and guys will be taken early here in round 10, or round 11 rather, as they start today, and they have an agreed upon number that they'll oversign. But typically some of these guys, like Landon Marceau, who was asking obviously north of $1.5 million, who said he's coming to LSU, so he didn't get his number, so he's out. In at LSU, I should say. Matthew Booth, dang, I'm really late today. Corey, how do you think the infield will look? Who's starting where? Well, remember, you get Josh Smith back. So, here's the other tough part. Jake Slaughter was mostly your everyday third baseman today. Does he come back? He's a draft-eligible sophomore. And this is why it's so interesting, because you have to weigh, if you're Jake Slaughter, do you come back, whereas early in the season this year, he was not an everyday player. Now, Jake Slaughter, in the last month of the season, 6 weeks of the season, was hitting over 300. He was great once he got in the lineup every day and was batting 7th, and they weren't counting on him to bat 5th and sort of protect Watson or Cabrera, who's ever batting cleanup. They took some of the pressure off him, let him play every day, and he came around. He really played well late. But if you're Slaughter and you come back, and it's sort of your money year as a junior, and you still have leverage, and you're not guaranteed to be playing every day, do you come back? So those are some of the questions that you just have to wonder. But Josh Smith is back. I don't think Hal Hughes is clearly Hal Hughes is not going to be your starting shortstop next year. He was a good glove, not a great glove, and he was just a non-existent bat. He hit 220. It's just you got to have more, And Brant Broussard, once he came back from injury, Brant Broussard in conference play hit sub 200. You just that's not going to work. So I don't know. You still got Nick Webb hanging around. Could Nick Webb play first? Josh Smith move over to third. One of the new guys come in, on the infield and start right away. Possibly. You look at some of this stuff like Elijah Campbell, who's an outfielder out of Florida. Elijah Campbell was, you talk to people around the program, they viewed him as a come in day one starter. But if you get Cabrera, Watson, Duplantis all back in your outfield, this guy that was coming in and could have been a day one starter, he's sitting the bench. He's looking for a spot. Some of you have asked for Eric Walker updates. Sean Walsh, is Walker done? No, Walker's coming off of Tommy John, and most guys, I see Alden Cartwright just joined. He can tell you this. He's a Tommy John guy. Most guys come off of Tommy John now stronger. So it's certainly plausible that Walker comes off of Tommy John and is even better. I mean, his command was great last year. He may have even better stuff when he comes back. I mean, I would expect Eric Walker is going to be either your Friday or Saturday guy next year. And I don't even think that's a question in my mind that he's in the rotation. It's just, is he the Friday or Saturday guy? So that's great. Let's see. About to wrap this up, guys. Appreciate it very much. I think that's all the questions that I saw. There you go. There's Cartwright. Most guys do the work in rehab, come back stronger and better. From Alden Cartwright. So, I need a favor. Hit all the likes and the shares and all that stuff. That's very, very much appreciated. If you have not hit the share button, please do that. Let's make people aware that this exists. We'll do this every morning. Robbie Compton, where does Chris Reed fit? Like, Reed may be one of the guys that's an odd man out. Like, if you're just joining us, Maneri, if my math is right, with the 3 seniors, the 2 signees that have been taken already, Bush, I'm fairly certain Sanders is going to sign, Slaughter maybe as well, and assuming Hess, Watson, Duplantis all come back, Maneri's going to have 8 or 9 guys that over the roster limits that he's going to have to find a place for, either guys that transfer out or signees that go JUCO or something like that. I mean, it's a good problem to have. Oh, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, for those who don't know, Kyler Murray, quarterback, Oklahoma, was the 9th pick overall. The A's don't take him with the 9th pick if they didn't already agree to a deal. So Kyler Murray's going to sign a contract with the A's. Now the question is, will Oklahoma let him play football, or will the A's let him play football this year after he signs his contract, which, by the way, he totally can do. So remember, Russell Wilson did that for a brief while. He was playing quarterback while he was in farm system. Was he in? It doesn't matter. Anyway, so he can do both. It's just a matter, are the A's and Oklahoma going to let him do that collectively? So, yeah, Kyler Murray, I mean, center fielder, cleanup hitter, hit for power, can run, dynamic athlete. Yeah, he's an awesome player. He's the 9th pick in the draft. But if it's me, I'm taking that 7-figure paycheck and not thinking twice about it, because for most of us, you'll only have one shot in your life to cash in on a 7-figure deal like that, and this is his, and he should absolutely take it. So Rangers, thank you. That was who took Russell Wilson back in the day. All right, this is going to do it for Morning Scone. Y'all check out Boudreaux's, boudreauxmix.com. Find them on all their social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like them. Actually, if you're watching this on Facebook, the link to their page is right there. Click on that link and go like their page. I'd appreciate that very much. And y'all check it out. They got the Bloody Mary and the Margarita Mix. I love supporting local companies. Darren, who started Boudreaux's, is a Homa guy. So support local companies. Go find some Boudreaux's Mix at the local spots around Baton Rouge. In the meantime, y'all be great, and we'll see you tomorrow on Morning Scone.